What's up, guys? As promised a few videos ago, I said I was going to teach you how to memorize a full deck of cards. Now's the time we're going to do it. Let's go. So, a couple things. One, the technique we're going to use is the memory palace to store the information. We learned that in a past video. I'll link it in the description below, but make sure you know how to store pictures in a memory palace. Woo! What I'm going to be going over is how to encode all 52 cards into a picture, because that's the hard part, right? How do you turn 52 cards into a picture that you can visualize and then store in your memory palace? In the last video with the cards, we did just the colors, red, black, all that stuff. So it's just those two pieces of information. Now we have a suit and a number, a value to the card. So there's 52 independent things that we need to learn to have a picture for. Now there's a few ways to do this. This is the one I learned when I first started memory training. And what you learn is I use something called PAO, person, action, object. The first thing we need to do is come up with pictures. So if I open up a deck, 52 cards, it's a ton of cards. Now what I tell people when they're trying to come up with their first pictures for the cards is to stick with the face cards. There's 4 suits, 3 face cards, Jack, Queen, King. That's 12 different cards to start with. If I showed you 5 random cards, could you memorize them? Go ahead, try it. Yeah, that's what I thought. When I suggest the images to come up with for those 12 cards, you'll be able to memorize those super easy. All right, so let me get all 12 of those face cards out of the deck. And the next thing I'm gonna do is organize them by their suit. This is diamonds, this is hearts, clubs. Cool. So once you have all 4 suits and the 3 face cards for each all lined up right in front of you, next you want to get a piece of paper and a pencil, and you're going to write the images down. You're going to come up with people. PAO, person, action, object. So what you need is basically to turn these cards into people, into actions, and into objects. The best place to start is with the people, because the actions and the objects, you don't even have to learn them. They'll be associated with the person you choose. So all we got to do to start with is find a person for every card. And in this case, we're starting with just the face cards. So the way to do it is just to make it as intuitive as possible. The way I like to break it up is in categories. So the hearts would be one category of people. Diamonds would be another category of people. The clubs another, and the spades another. My suggestion, again, you can come up with whatever you want, but this is what I found has worked really well. Hearts can be family and friends, because of a heart, right? You love your friends and family. That one's easy. Diamonds can be rich people, famous people, celebrities. They have a lot of money, a lot of diamonds. Clubs can be sports athletes, because a lot of them use clubs. And then spades is kind of like the wild card. I usually tell people to go with cartoon characters, Star Wars characters, whatever you're into. Maybe make the spades kind of the thing you're interested in, that category. So starting with the hearts, the way I like to break them up is King of Hearts is your father, since he's the king of the family. Queen of Hearts is your mother, she's queen of the family. And Jack of Hearts can be anybody that's not your parents, like a pet, a loved one, a sibling, yourself even. These are pretty obvious. I mean, King is your dad, Queen is your mom, and Jack is either a sibling or yourself or whatever. But if you're having trouble coming up with people, just give a reason why this card might represent that person. You know, like a king, why would that person be a king in your family? Diamonds, maybe think of the richest man for King of Diamonds, maybe Donald Trump. Now these don't have to be people that you love or huge fans of, they just have to be memorable and quick for you to think of when you see this card. So when I think richest person, I think Donald Trump, maybe Bill Gates. Queen of Diamonds could be a very influential female figure, maybe Oprah, for example. And Jack of Diamonds could be, I mean, we have the J, so it could be a celebrity, a rich celebrity with the name that starts with J. Jack Nicholson, Jack Black. King of Clubs, here are my suggestions. King of Clubs could be Tiger Woods, because he's the king of clubs, or he used to be. Queen of Clubs maybe could be Venus or Serena Williams, top female athlete. And then Jack of Clubs, like to think of Jordan, Michael Jordan's, because of the J. And then spades, I said that these could be your favorite thing. Movie characters, let's say Star Wars. You're a big Star Wars fan, so maybe the King of Spades could be Luke Skywalker, Queen of Spades could be Princess Leia, and then Jack of Spades could be Han Solo. So you have 12 people, right? Of course, you're gonna have to take some time to learn these, but the point is we tried to make it as instinctive as possible. So when you're memorizing, you don't have to think, what was this card again? It should just be natural, at least for the 12 face cards, right? The next thing you wanna do is write down actions and objects that are associated with those 12 people we just came up with, that you wrote down. The best thing to do is to come up with actions that are the first thing you think of when you think of that person. A good example, let's take the athletes, right? So if we had King of Clubs, Tiger Woods, his action, swinging a golf club. And his object would be a golf club. Queen of Clubs, we said, was Serena Williams, swinging a tennis racket. Object, tennis racket. Michael Jordan, dribbling a basketball. It's very important that all of those actions are unique. You don't want to share the same action with another person, because how are you going to tell it apart from some other card? Note that I had Tiger Woods was swinging a golf club and Serena was swinging a tennis racket. So the action is the same verb word, swinging, but it's two different swings. It's more like that big stroke for the golf and then a swing of the racket. So in my head, there are two different movements. And that's all that matters. It's not the word I'm memorizing, it's the movement, the visual that I see in my head. Okay, so when you're done with all 12 of those person, action, object, then I want you to shuffle up those cards. So you have 12 cards here, and I want you to try and read out the images. So what happens is with PAO, what you're doing, and you'll see why I made you come up with a person, action, object, is you're gonna group cards in threes. And the reason we group cards in threes is because it turns 52 cards, the whole deck, into just 17 images. So all you have to remember are 17 little scenarios or little scenes that has a person doing an action with a thing. So here are some examples, and this is where it gets fun, because as you shuffle the cards, those are gonna get mixed together. You're gonna get some really weird combinations, but weird means Queen of Diamonds, we said, remember diamonds were rich people. I suggested Oprah. Okay, that's the first card. The next card I see is the Queen of Hearts. That's my mom. My action for her is I picture her cooking. She makes incredible food. That's what I think of when I think of her. So Jack of Diamonds, I suggested maybe choosing a celebrity with the name J, maybe Johnny Depp, or maybe James Bond. So he's the third card in this set, so his is an object. What would James Bond's object be? It could be his Walter PP7, it could be a martini glass, it could be a tuxedo. Choice is up to you, but you gotta stick to it, right? For me, it's a martini glass. So, my little story here, these three cards, is Oprah cooking a martini glass. So I literally picture Oprah Winfrey with a pot that she's dipping a martini glass in, as if she's cooking it like it's pasta. That's a really silly image, but you'll remember it. When you finally put it all together, what you're gonna do is place that image of Oprah Winfrey cooking martini glasses in your memory palace, in the first location of your memory palace. Maybe it's your front door. There's Oprah Winfrey cooking a martini glass at your front door. Then the next three cards, you move on. Again, repeat the process. Person, action, object. So in this case, the person, remember I suggested that this is Serena Williams, tennis player, King of Diamonds, so the rich, right? We had either Bill Gates, right? So what would Bill Gates' action be? I would maybe picture him typing away on a PC or a laptop, right? And then Jack of Hearts, I suggested it be a sibling or yourself. Let's say it's me. I like to memorize cards, so maybe my object is a card. So, person, action, object, we have Serena Williams typing on a deck of cards. And again, you place that in the next place of your memory palace. After you enter the front door, there is Serena Williams typing away on a deck of cards. So now you have 12 cards. What about the rest? Make sure that you're comfortable with all the images, the person, action, objects of all those 12 cards, those face cards. Shuffle it, try to memorize it. Start there. Once you got that, then of course, you need to remember all the number cards. And so for that, I suggest the system. So since we're going with categories, let's continue. So the hearts will be friends and family, people you know. Clubs will be all athletes. Diamonds will be rich people, celebrities. And spades can be that category that you are a fan of. In my example, I had Star Wars characters. Now, that's not quite enough because you're gonna think, well, how am I going to remember that 3 of diamonds? You gotta have something else. Now you can refer to my major system video. Remember the major system? It was a way to turn numbers into letters. And so what you can do is, an ace could be the letter A if you'd like, but think of it as a 1, it's the first card, right? And that could be your T, right? T or D, remember that was 1. 2 would be an N, 3 would be an M, 4 an R, 5 an L, 6 a sh or a soft G sound, 7 a k or a hard G sound, 8 an F or V, 9 P or B, and then 10, you can just think of it as like a 0. Just look at the 0, which was S or Z. If you don't remember that whole thing, I have a whole video about it called the major system. Check it out in the description. So what you can do is, in that category, use that letter as the cue for the person's name. An example here, let's say 7 of diamonds. Diamonds is the category of celebrities, right? And 7 is a K or a hard G sound. So maybe Gal Gadot, aka Wonder Woman, as an action, I could easily think of her using that lasso, and her object could be a lasso. Another example, 10 of clubs. Remember the 10 is an S or Z sound because of the 0 from our major system, and then clubs is a sports athlete person. So someone with an S that sticks out of my mind, maybe Steph Curry. Now I know we already had a basketball player, jack of clubs, we had as Michael Jordan, dribbling basketball. So make sure if you have another basketball player, you're not choosing the same action or objects, right? So Steph Curry, I'm gonna have to think of something else that I think of when I think of him. I think of him shooting 3 into a hoop. So maybe his action is shooting a basketball, and his object is the hoop itself. And one more example, just to spread it across. Spades, I said, was Star Wars characters. Again, that's optional. 4 is the letter R. I think of R2-D2. That's going to be the 4 of spades. What would his action and object be? Making beeping sounds. His object could be an X-Wing. That's the plane that he goes into. It's R2-D2, making beeping sounds, X-Wing fighter plane.